Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're Two Average Guys, and we're back
Welcome
talking
back.
about a little Northwestern beatdown
Yes.
yesterday. So,
Actually looked like a football team.
and as you'll see from our title here, it was fundamental beatdown. So did a lot of things right.
Yes.
I'm just gonna give a quick 5-second recap of how I was excited about the game yesterday.
Okay.
And 5 different times I can tell you where I was up out of my seat. I don't know the last time I was out of my seat, excited in an excited way during a Husker game, more than a couple times. So, first one,
Okay.
first play of the game,
First play of the
70-yard pass.
Yep. We never see that. Never see that.
Huge job by Toure going and adjusting his route to the middle of the field to catch that ball. Huge play. Number 2, the sack by JoJo Doman on their first possession on 3rd down. Huge sack, came untouched, big hit on Kolinsky. 3, the strip by the end zone. JoJo Doman knocks the ball out. DeAndre Thomas recovers it.
Again, 13. Stud.
Betts, 83-yard run for a touchdown.
Okay.
Stud, speed. We talked about him before and how he doesn't look like he's running that fast. He didn't look like he was running that fast, but he covered the field in a short amount of time.
Sure did.
And the last one, and maybe the most important to remember from yesterday, because we've been hanging on it since day 1 of the season.
I know where you're going with this one.
84-yard punt. 84 yards. That's probably the longest punt in Memorial Stadium since the Buffalo kicker kicked it 81 yards. The quarterback.
And didn't that go into the end zone, so it technically wasn't even 81?
Yeah,
was
technically
more like
yes.
a
It was a
61?
touchback. Yeah, so 84. He kicked it from our own end zone, and that ball landed at the 24-yard line. That landed and bounced to the
inside.
6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the best punt any Husker kicker's ever had. Someone look up stats.
Long.
I was out of my seat, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Did we just really kick it 84 yards?
Right.
I mean, I was psyched out of my mind.
Totally agree with you.
Those are 5
all
moments.
5 of yours.
Woo.
And you can even add, not to take anything away from your 5, because they were
Whatever.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
But I know some people were saying one of their biggest plays of the game, and when I read it, I said the Betts play was bigger in my mind, but was Yant's 64-yard run. It was just, a guy that hasn't seen much playing time gets the ball, and he was a beast all day. Hence the walk-on beers that Matt's drinking.
Yeah, so I got some Infusion walk-on red ale. It's good. Just picked this up today from Hy-Vee, so if you get a chance, it is local beer month, so pick up some local beer. This one's from Infusion. Definitely a good red ale, so check it out if you get a chance. Very good beer. But yeah, I mean, from the get-go,
Just couldn't ask for a better start.
before the game even started, and if anybody had talked about this game or talked to anybody about this game, people were like, last 10 games we played them, we're 5-5, last 10 meetings. So we generally play them close. It's generally a tough defensive game for Northwestern. They're fundamentally sound on offense, defense. They're not going to score a bunch on offense.
No, but they
move the ball.
pound and
Time clock management.
yep, and they're very disciplined. They don't get a lot of penalties. They don't turn the ball over, typically. And I think they said between all the matchups since we joined the Big Ten, and they've been in our divisions, we've played them every single year. I think it's like 7-point differential in our favor out of all the games combined.
All of them.
So I did not see a 56-7 game coming. Even though we talked about it, we weren't sure Northwestern was, as good as they have been these last few years. But just with how we've seen us these last few weeks making mistakes, we figured something like that might happen and the score would be closer than it should be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the case.
No, I mean, I predicted 38-17. I thought we'd get 2 or 3 turnovers on defense, and we should have. Reimer should have had 2 interceptions. He missed both of them. I think we had another shot for an interception as well, but we had the 1 turnover inside the 5, which was huge. It was 28-7 at that point. That was a game. That was a game changer. That you cut it down to 2 scores is a big game changer. So that was exciting to see. But 38-17, I'm like, they might put up some points. Just knowing what sometimes that field position is important, and we haven't won the field position all year, so we did everything right for the most part. We did everything right in the game.
And I've had very few predictions. I actually had one for this game. It was 24-10. I figured they wouldn't be able to move the ball.
Yeah.
We've been scoring around that 17 to 20 point range.
Yep.
I thought maybe we'd get a little bit more than that. Not 56.
And here's the problem: is people are like, "Oh, it's Northwestern. They're not very good. They're having a down year."
I don't care who it is.
That's the most points I think Fitz has ever given up in a Big Ten game. Two, maybe not the most he's given up, but it was definitely the most yards he's given up on the ground. We had 657 total yards, which is the most his team has ever given up. 427 rushing yards, which I think is the most they've ever given up as a team. At one point, it was like 254 rushing yards to -2.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's, again, you can say all you want about Northwestern and how good or not good they are this year. The fact of the matter is, that game was over after the first quarter when it was 21-7.
Well, and you can also say the hype around that running back from Michigan State was he ran all over Northwestern.
He did.
And, I mean, they didn't score that many points.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Northwestern by 17 points.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, you got to look at not just the game that we played yesterday, but Northwestern's previous games, who they've played, and who we've played so far, and how we've played those games. We technically should be 6-0. We had every opportunity to beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We beat ourselves. Special teams killed us, and our offense was not good that game, not great. And then Illinois. I mean, we win those two games. And Michigan State. We hurt ourselves Michigan State. Those three games, easily 5-1, 6-0 team. And guess what? We're probably in the top 10 at that point, because we wouldn't be a top 20 Michigan.
If we're a 5-1
State.
team with a loss at Oklahoma, that's kind of where I'd see we should be at right now, with a one possession loss at Oklahoma, with opportunities to win that game. I think we would be about the top 10. It'd be, I mean,
at least in the top 15,
we're already playing Michigan at 6:30 ABC game this week, but that'd be game day. That'd be a
top 10 matchup.
Yeah,
that's a top 10 game.
Yeah, because Michigan will probably be right on the cusp with all the teams losing.
And Michigan, how does Michigan play? What's their game? They run the ball.
Yeah.
They're not a pass-heavy team. They're going to run the ball. They can pass it, but they're going to run it. And guess what? How have we done against the run this year? Fantastic.
Very well.
So, I mean, I think there should be a lot of optimism and a lot of hope going into next week. Not only going into next week, but going to Purdue, playing Minnesota, playing Wisconsin, playing Iowa, playing Ohio State. Every game remaining on the schedule. Again, not just based off of yesterday's game.
Right.
This is
it's
based
been
off
the last
of
3.
Yes.
And you could even, I mean,
really every game.
You can really say that Buffalo game with the defense stepping up the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
I know the offense only scored 28 points, and we left a lot of points on the field. But starting there, building it with Oklahoma, into last week, obviously a colossal mistake to lose that game.
Yep.
But this might be a turning point. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago was a turning point, and it's just a step by step by step. If we can beat Michigan this weekend, this upcoming weekend, then we should be favored in some of the rest of those. Maybe not Ohio State, but you know what I mean.
But maybe, I mean, honestly, Ohio State's defense is very suspect this year. So they haven't had much of a schedule to play against yet.
Well, and Martinez is up there in rushing touchdowns and yards by a quarterback, maybe not even just in the Big Ten, but in the country.
And we're throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah.
Not only do we have Vokalek, Betts, Martin, even Wyatt Lever, we have Omar Manning, Samari Toure, we have all these guys we can throw to, tons of weapons, and we're using them.
Yeah.
We're using them.
And we are. And we're able to use them because that run game's starting to click a little bit. Some offensive line changes. I liked them. Oh. They were fantastic.
Move Turner.
Turner went from left tackle to right tackle, and he was good on that right side. Teddy came in and was really good on that left side. His name escapes me, but whoever we had start at left guard, I think it was his first start. He was. The offensive line was great. They were opening holes all day long.
Oh yeah. I think again, I think the offense. We saw a big tick in the offense because of the way we were able to set the tone up front.
Well, and you look at that Betts 83-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
If you replay that play, the blocking on that was fantastic. You had Allen come across. You had Vokalek block.
Yep.
And then I can't remember who.
Ramir maybe.
It was either.
It was Johnson
or Toure or somebody on one of the receivers on the outside maybe.
It
was awesome.
They had 5 defenders and we had 3 guys blocking, but the fact that we knew Betts could get out in front of those 2, I think maybe linebackers, that were coming after him. I mean, he had the speed and had the edge to make that cut, and all we needed was 3 blockers.
I texted you. I said when he got the ball, I said he gone, and I wasn't really sure he was, but
yeah,
he's got that speed, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so talk about Yant here. So I mean, we talked about Yant after the spring game. It was like, man, we hope to see him play. Talk about maybe, hey, can we get him in a fullback and do some blocking? He came in. He did. Brandon mentions here. He came in overweight. He was a big dude. They wanted him to lose some weight. So I mean, that's fine. And I think he did. And he's probably slimmed down a little bit. And that's probably why he hasn't played yet, is because he needed to get it better in shape.
Well,
to be able to run at 64
and he's probably
what, 6'2", 6'3"?
I think you said keep him in, like let him finish it. And I was like, he's probably gassed. You know, if he cuts a little bit more, he takes that for a touchdown next time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like that power style running that he had, and he was running through guys and getting
stiff arming guys.
8, 10, 12 yards a pop. It was awesome.
I think I put out there, like, after that one run to the left that he made, he's like, excuse me, I have a first down to gain.
Yeah.
Like a 12-yard run. I mean, he's just bulldozing guys, and that's what you can expect from him, I think, moving forward. But again, the entire tone of that game was set up front by our offensive line from the very first play to the very last play, no matter what quarterback was in. Adrian Martinez, after the game, they asked him about the offensive line and the changes that were made, and he kind of smirked and he said, I don't think I was touched all game.
No, he wasn't.
I don't think he was touched all game.
And maybe
he didn't have to scramble out
the first play, the long touchdown, or not long touchdown, but the long 70-yard pass, that was the only one that they got close to him.
And you know why? That was Teddy's first snap, and Teddy's feet were not set correctly.
That's probably true.
Got his feet close together, he got pushed back. But the only other time I remember, he had to scramble one other time where he was getting close, where the pocket started to collapse. But he would have the momentum to get up front and move to the right and make a throw. And they even pointed out on TV, they're like, watch him scramble out of the pocket here. Does a great job of recognizing the defense and knowing where he needs to go to get into an open spot to make that pass. And that's what he did. I think that line, I think that should be the discussion moving forward is, Northwestern, they are down. They lost a lot of guys due to graduations, due to transfers, some injuries. So, yes, they are having a down year. And, I don't know, it's probably his worst team altogether. But I think there's a lot of youth, too. So, I think they have some growing pains they're going through. But you still have to play fundamentally sound football. We didn't even have a false start until, late third quarter, mid-third quarter?
Yeah, and, we didn't have a penalty until that third quarter. Yeah. And no, the first one was a pass interference by Nick.
Oh, yeah, and that was clearly...
It was.
He knocked him down,
The guy was kind of running in his lane, if you will, but...
He decked him.
Anyway, it was the right call.
But either way,
I think the first false start penalty, I think we may have even shifted in some backups at that point. So, and then... we definitely got a few more down the line. What do we got here?
Okay, so we're gonna address this. So one thing to say, that Cam Taylor is a little overrated, selfish, always going for the interception, not playing sound when they throw it his way to complete a pass. Okay, so I have some thoughts, because I think that's probably the one thing that was talked about most, as far as, because obviously our defense played really well. The one touchdown, Cam Taylor got beat on a double move. He was probably trying to jump the route, and I don't disagree. I don't know if it's selfish, Zom. Maybe just difference of opinion. I don't know if it was selfish, because you can't blame a guy for wanting to get an interception and potentially jump a route and go pick six.
Especially when the game's 21-0.
But the guy did put a good move on him, and he wasn't paying attention, and he got caught. He got caught flat-footed. Obviously, not able to catch up. Just got blown. So. I get it.
I can see what you say a little bit on when the ball goes his way, they do tend to catch it. I will say he's probably, on every team's best wide receiver.
Yeah.
And that guy from Northwestern was pretty decent. But
and man, I thought he had that. I thought he had that interception. I think it was in the third quarter where they threw the ball to the right side. I thought he had the interception. Apparently, the guy caught it. I thought he had it. I was like, did we just intercept it? And the guy comes over the ball. I was like, oh, I thought he got the ball. So I can see it, because he does try to jump routes a lot. He does try to get the ball. And most of the year, it hasn't hurt us. But yesterday, obviously, they got that 7 based on that throw. So I can see both points of view. Again, difference of opinion. I see some of that as well. But I also see that him being just trying to be perfect and trying to do everything he can to help his team out. So I see both ways. I get it. I get it. It bothered you.
I was just going to say this, and then Zom said it. Before the season, they asked him how many interceptions he said and what he said his jersey
more than his number.
More than his number, yeah.
Yep.
So I get it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zom.
It is. I like him. I mean, I like him a lot. We've liked him for years. But I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sorry, I missed the other question that was up there from Brandon. But again, Martinez, Frost mentioned after the game too, is he takes so much crap and he gets beat down a lot by really the media and the fan base for a lot of different things. And guess what? He wasn't even perfect yesterday. He missed some wide open receivers. And to me, he's trying to be too perfect on some of those throws. And you can see when he tries to do a little touch pass, he missed Betts over the middle. He was wide open. Threw it high.
Yeah.
He missed. I think it might have been. I think he might have missed Betts also on the outside when he overthrew him as well. Just trying to be too pretty with it instead of just throwing a strike. And he doesn't want to make that mistake. He doesn't want to throw an interception because he knows he has a history of throwing interceptions. And so I think he gets in his head sometimes. But yesterday, I mean, again, we're throwing deep bombs that we have not done since he's been a freshman. We have not thrown 30-plus yard passes a lot, really.
And there's a couple things that go into that. We haven't really had much of deep threat type receivers. We haven't had offensive line given time. And, like we've talked about, Northwestern maybe not the best opponent this year, but those are the type of games that you do want to see them try some of those things.
Yeah.
Because in these next few weeks, we're going to be in tight games. We're going to need a big play like that.
Yep.
We're going to need a 30-yard touchdown pass to Torre,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he threw a deep one to Betts, too, which he didn't hit it over his left shoulder, which would have been the best chance for Betts. But he had to make Betts come back a little to the right side, which ended up being pass interference, which was the right call.
Yeah.
But again, you got to take those deep shots,
and sometimes that's what you take them for.
Yeah.
Maybe get a penalty, get a first down on the third and long.
And it was actually really good coverage, but it was just a little to the right, and he didn't allow Betts to get back to it. And Zom, you never have to apologize for stating your opinion. Again, I can see it, and still love CTB. I love the entire defense, and
Reimer's a stud.
Reimer, 100%. Again, you want to talk about walk-ons?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Luke Reimer. I mean, that guy was a walk-on. I believe he earned a scholarship. If he's not, he's getting one. Yeah. He definitely has his black shirt. He is probably our fastest defender, besides maybe Garrett Nelson. And those two probably go toe-to-toe when it comes to going and getting that ball hawk on the defense. We saw it against Michigan State.
I love Doman, so I'm a little partial to Doman, but Nelson, Reimer, all those guys, man, you love to watch them.
Doman is extremely calculated when it comes to where he goes and when he goes. And Garrett Nelson and Luke Reimer, is not that they're not calculated, but I think they just go.
Yeah.
They're always going. The ball's there, I'm going to go for it. Yeah. Doman's trying to say, okay, where are they going to go next, not where's the ball now.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a little bit of a difference is, but Reimer's always around the ball.
He is always around the ball.
He's definitely Defensive Player of the Year, absolutely. I think he is. Again, they mentioned, I can't remember what game it was. It was one of the first couple games for Nebraska, and someone was commenting and said that he is a future NFL talent, Reimer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. Here's what I told my buddy last night. I was watching the game with Pooty. I said, our linebackers, Reimer and Doman, those two guys, I put them next to Nate Gary and Luke Gifford all day, and they may even be better than those guys.
Yeah.
And I love both those guys.
Yeah.
But I think they're better. I think this year they're proving their strength, and they're able to adjust to plays. They're able to make those open field tackles. They're able to go after the ball, get turnovers. I mean, they've stepped up big time this year, and those are NFL caliber guys. They are going to play at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, they're even kind of remind me a little bit of Will Compton, and he wasn't really a big contributor really until later on in his Husker career, and then made the NFL. He's out there a lot on social media.
Yeah, so, it was just a fun game. I mean, this is what happens when you play football at the level that you should, even against a team that's not, again, you're playing a team that's not as good as you, technically, but again, we know the history between the two teams, yet we went out there and we spanked them. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to maybe be close in the fourth quarter. We got, not only did Smothers get to play a lot, But we got Masker in the game.
It was awesome.
I mean, another walk-on.
And they scored a touchdown.
And I mean, it was just, and he had a really good pass. I mean,
he had a couple good passes.
Brody Belt was out there again trying to catch passes. I mean, I love seeing these guys that don't get to play often. How often in a Power 5 game against a Big Ten opponent are we getting backups in the game?
Right.
You just don't see it happen.
Well, I like Zom. Agree with on Stilly. He's stuck it out.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get enough love. I love him too. But yeah, going back to what you're saying, how many times have we gotten up by a couple of touchdowns and kind of let our foot off the gas and let a team back in? And so it is a game ending the fourth quarter. I can think of Penn State last year.
Yep.
We were up a couple scores early and we had to hold on to win that game.
Yep.
I mean, we just haven't seen that.
Well,
what we did yesterday.
Again,
in a long time.
28-7. They get the ball down inside the 5. And didn't we get a penalty or something? We had an offside or something like that. We had a defensive penalty that got them a first down or something inside the 5, if I remember correct. But then we get a stop on the first try, and then we get our defenders weren't even blocked. I think JoJo and DeAndre Thomas both got in there without getting touched, and they went low. I mean, that was one of the best plays I've seen by our defense without even getting touched, and that's something our defense, I don't think they let off the gas. I think Northwestern had a few good plays. That Robinson, their wide receiver, he was really good. The running back, can't remember his name now, number 6 I think it was, or number 11. He was good. He was a bulldozer.
Well, and even their quarterback, I mean, at one point, he was like 14 of 18 or something. I mean, he wasn't playing back. I mean, he wasn't.
They just couldn't get the ball deep.
Yeah, they couldn't throw deep at all, so I mean.
But that's at that point, that's where I see a lot of that let up is, hey, we're up by 3 scores, which has been rare over the years, but we're up by a few scores. What's going to happen next? And again, 28-14, 28-7 is totally different feeling, and we get the ball back, and then we're able to push the lead and be up by 4 scores at half. And incredible.
It's a good question, Zon. We have talked about it before. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean.
So
sorry, I
Fitz,
apologize for the conversation.
He said that he was excited. This is the last time he's going to have to see Martinez. And I'm thinking, are you sure?
I mean, Martinez isn't getting drafted.
And are you sure it's the last time you're going to see him? Because he could be back next year.
That's what I mean.
I would love to see Martinez back next year with not only because technically Toure has another year too.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. So he can play another year. We still have Omar Manning can play another year. We have Betts still. We have all these guys on offense, kind of like the defense, very similar. We're going to lose a lot of defensive guys.
Yeah, we will.
But we've seen a lot of defensive guys also step up. But the offensive side of the ball, now we're seeing, if we see this offensive line we saw yesterday throughout the rest of the year, imagine that line going into next year with Martinez as the quarterback. Now, not that I don't think Smothers couldn't do it, but with Martinez, it's a different feel. I mean, he is playing like his freshman self when he runs the ball, and he's throwing the ball better than he did his freshman.
Nice sack.
Randy Gregory.
So anyway, no, something that you said, and I was almost grabbing my phone to text you before, and then you text me. I didn't really like what we did when we put Smothers in the game.
Agreed.
And it was different than when we put Masker in the game because we actually threw the ball and made plays. The game plan with Smothers was kind of how our offense looked the first couple games. Kind of hand the ball up the middle for a yard or 2.
Yep.
Smothers keepers, which is fine because he's a good quick runner.
Yeah.
It just wasn't an offensive game plan, when you give those guys reps.
Yeah.
I don't care what the score is.
Yeah.
Let them throw the ball a little bit.
Agreed.
Get guys some reps. Get receivers in there. Get the ball in their hands. I don't know.
And more than anything, that's what I was hoping for is, okay, we got Smothers coming in. Yeah, we're going to run the ball. Let's get some pass. Let's get him to pass the ball, which, again, you're already beating this team up and – are you going to run up the score? Well, the score's already run up for the most part. We could have scored even 3 more touchdowns probably, but we'll talk about Ian again here in a second, Kyle. Don't worry, we love the guy. We did talk about him, but we'll get back to him. But I think Smothers, again, I want to see his arm because he threw a couple good passes. He also missed some passes too. But I thought we kind of just sat back for a second and said, we're going to run the clock out. Well, there's like 6 minutes left of the third quarter. Was it third quarter?
Well, I know.
I know Martinez didn't need to come out in the second half.
There was like 9 minutes left, and I was like, man, are we really going to start pulling guys? Can we do that? To answer your questions, no, he doesn't. He last year with the COVID year, they only had like 1 guy do it instead of 2 or whatever, and then he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And it was mainly just he was a sideline guy and wasn't kind of a middleman for when they'd go to review. He can get a pass for the sidelines, I think. But he wasn't able to go this week, so.
So yeah, I think
he was in the paper though the other day. Sorry, I don't know if you saw it. He's in the sports page, 36 years, ref in high school football.
John Jankowski. Yeah, so I think yes, Adrian can come back. I think Smothers is very capable of running the offense. We have yet to see Harburg. I thought we might see him yesterday, but it could be again a learning the offense thing.
Well, and I'm sure he probably is number 3 and Masker's number 4. Maybe not now.
Maybe.
But Masker's, he's probably never going to play. So
yeah.
that gave him an opportunity to play, and it was awesome.
His first play, wasn't it? He kept it. It was an RPO.
And he kept it for like 8-10
and he
yards.
just busted. I was like, holy shit, he's fast.
Yeah, I know.
He busted up the middle. And I was like,
hyped. I'm sure he was just hyped with that
God.
crowd. And,
oh, God.
Getting in there.
So we haven't talked about it yet. Again, Kyle, we will get back to the running backs here in a second, but
I'll let him know you said that, Zone.
Let's talk about our crowd last night. So, they said 87,000 plus. So I know close to 90,000 fans in that stadium. I turned to my buddy. I said, I haven't seen the stadium that packed for a Husker game at home in a very long time. It was packed to the edges.
It had been 2.5 years, I think, since the night game at Memorial Stadium.
90,000 strong, and not a single person left until that final whistle.
And that's the thing. If you want to go back and figure out who our last home game was, it may have been Ohio State when we had game day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we probably didn't have as many fans there because people thought we were going to get blown out like we did.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't stay as long, weren't staying as long. So
that
was awesome.
Every seat filled until the final whistle, and people stayed as long as they possibly could because that was a game. I think everybody.
I saw you at the games. I was supposed to be at the game, didn't end up working out, but that's all right.
I think this is a game, and a lot of people I think would agree with this, that we needed for. Again, almost another confidence booster. This is one of those games. Like Michigan State and Oklahoma were huge. I think you saw a lot of improvement. This game was just a very improved game with very few mistakes. Mm-hmm. Very few mistakes. And it's funny because Frost, after the first half, you're like, I find it funny. Frost is still pissed about something.
He was.
But what was he mad about, Jimmy?
He was mad about. He said we left a score on the board when we put the ball on the ground on that option that Martinez pitched and lost a bunch of yards. Thought the defense let up on the touchdown drive they had, which, maybe a touch.
I think that was mental though. That was a mental mistake by C2B. That's all.
What were the other things that he said that I texted you about?
Can't remember what else he said.
There was 3 or 4 things. It was basically, the offensive line looked better. But
we could have scored more, and we could have left a 0 on the board.
Right, and
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but
it
was a good first half.
Again, if you watch any other coach, no matter if they're winning or losing at halftime, they know there's always something to improve on. And so going into half, I like that attitude by Frost. Is yes, we are up by 4 scores at this point. Well, but we could be up by 5, or we could have a 0 on the board.
I think it was maybe a little of, this is what we see in practice, this is what we expect, This is what we have wanted everyone to see, and so it's kind of frustrating that it's finally coming, but this is it, and we still have a few things to clean up, but this is it.
But this is what we've been talking about for years, since Frost got there, is this is the kind of offense we want to see. And this is the kind of defense we want to see. You are seeing on both sides of the ball last night what Nebraska can do and why they're dangerous. Joel Klatt said too, he's like, this is the Nebraska team that we've been waiting for. This is the Nebraska team I've been waiting for. As a Colorado quarterback, it's hard for him to say, I'm sure, but he's also a realist. And he realizes what this team can do if they're clicking on all fundamentals and all parts of the game.
Well, and, when you have success early, that's fun. And a lot of these guys for 5-6 years, it hasn't been fun.
Yeah.
So when it's fun, and even the last couple of weeks, hanging in there with some top 20 teams.
Yeah.
That's fun. So that maybe the attitude has changed kind of across the board, players and coaches and everything, to where things are starting to click in the right direction.
Trev Alberts was on the field after the game.
High five and Frost.
High five and Frost. High five and the defensive guys coming out. Casey Rogers was playing, which was great.
It was great. That was Des Moines' defensive pick of the year, and unfortunately he was hurt. He's been hurt for a few games, but
we got to see him play yesterday. Damian Jackson just goes out there and balls out.
I want him to get a sack so bad. He's this close every time.
He just wants to get it done. He's so close. So I love seeing him on the field. But Trev Alberts going up to not only the players but the coaches. Also before the game, he went out and shook the hands of every single recruit. I don't know if Bill Moose ever attended a football game. So
he's probably in the press box.
I am loving Trev Alberts already. Well, he has the right attitude. He gave Frost not only a handshake but a hug. Told him congratulations. I mean, that's what you want to see from someone who supports the program.
And they did interview him. Greg Sharp did interview him on Sports Nightly this week, and I listened to some of it, and then obviously heard all the clips back. I mean, he's not necessarily calling Frost out, but he's saying, we need to see something, and that was the first step in the right direction.
He saw something, right?
But Frost proved something, that's for sure. But no, big recruiting weekend, not only for football, which is great, but basketball and baseball.
Yeah, and volleyball's been there too. Volleyball's been playing well too.
They honored the big baseball for winning the Big Ten baseball last year.
Yeah, the Athletics Hall of Fame, Jordan Larson and Eric Crouch, and it was just a lot going on.
Cool weekend.
I think too, one thing that we probably saw that maybe behind the scenes that maybe we didn't recognize during the game is the play calling. I mean, we saw a lot of option again. We saw that play to Betts. I mean, that wasn't a normal option play. That was just a quick pitch. That's all that was. That was a quick pitch. We have Toure know he can run. We had Omar Manning come out of the back. He did
an option.
A pitch play as well. So we're seeing the play calling being adjusted throughout the season, and that's to me last night that was glaringly obvious. When was the last time we tried to throw the ball deep on the first play of a game? We haven't scored all year on our first drive of the game.
No,
that was the first time.
We had scored what'd they say? We had scored how many points in the first quarter? All season combined? 10?
Over the last
14?
7 years, it's been low. The number's been low. So if people do not see the progress of this team, I don't care who we played and beat yesterday. It was a Power 5 opponent. It was also a Big Ten opponent. It was in your own division opponent. It was a great win for Nebraska.
And, I mean, not saying that anybody's right or wrong. I mean, we just have opinions, right?
We do.
But a lot of these guys are saying Nebraska's going to find a way to 6 wins. And if you look at the schedule, I mean, at this point, looking at to start the season, this back half, you're like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get 3 wins out of those 6 games. And it's looking more and more like that's going to be able to happen.
Not only that, it's funny. We can go back to our very first episode it was the very first one we had Brandon Kinney on, and I was talking. Brandon might have, we haven't had it on this year, but we're talking about our schedule. And
so this year,
yeah.
Was it before the season?
Maybe, but we were looking at our schedule. Yeah, he was here. We were talking about our wins, and I somehow got to 9 wins. And you're laughing. You're like, wait, you just said that was the 84 guy.
That might have just been our first.
It was preseason.
First show, and Zom was like, "Wow, you guys are really drinking the Kool-Aid."
But here's the deal. Kool-Aid aside, and we'll get to your question here, Ross, in a second about Michigan game. Kool-Aid aside,
I'm gunning for Wisconsin and Iowa.
Kool-Aid aside, we have Michigan, Purdue, Minnesota, and then Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. So Michigan, Purdue, Minnesota. Minnesota beat Purdue by a touchdown?
It's a close game.
Minnesota's struggling this year. Minnesota, here's my deal with Minnesota. They lost Mo Abraham, which I think is their biggest loss of the year, and I think that is why their offense is struggling, because he is that heart of the offense.
Well, and Minnesota typically
I'm fine with it.
They run the ball typically pretty
well.
First. They run the ball against us typically pretty well.
Yep.
We can stop that run.
And Wisconsin they are so bad. They moved on from Mertz. Their backup is not good. I don't know who their third string is.
I don't think they moved on from Mertz. He got hurt.
I don't know. They might as well move on from him, man.
He got hurt. You said that to me, and I'm watching highlights, and I'm like, he got hurt.
Maybe that was them moving on from him as he got hurt.
I suppose.
But they're not good. They don't have that run threat that they usually have, and I think that's why Jack Cohn, going to Notre Dame, was like, oh, this is going to be a great fit for him. We see he did so good at Wisconsin, but really he relied a lot on the run game in Wisconsin too. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's a pocket quarterback, and so Wisconsin, Minnesota, Purdue, they're all struggling. Those are 3 wins that we definitely should have.
Yeah.
Iowa.
It's really tough, man, because we really should have just won that Illinois game.
we stopped Michigan's run game. We win that game. So Ross, here you go. Prediction against Michigan. Stop the run game. We win the game.
Yeah.
We know we can stop the run game. I think we win the game.
I think so too, because I think we could get a turnover or 2 through the air.
Mm-hmm.
Or, maybe 1 through the air and a fumble or something like
We're
that.
going to strip. Garrett Nelson's going to get a turnover. I'm calling out. Garrett Nelson's going to get either an interception.
Garrett Nelson doing the...
Oh, man. He was ready for ACBC. It's like he knew it was coming. I think he's going to either get a forced fumble recovery, or interception. He's going to get a turnover. Some way he is going to be a part of a turnover next week against Michigan. I think it's going to be close, though. I think it's going to be within 10 points.
With us playing at home, if we have that crowd like we did last night, and the team shows up, maybe they should roll in with their
suits again.
Their same suits.
Bring the first time.
Get your cowboy hat
first
on.
Time
since
what, 71? Is that what they said? First time we
Maybe.
won suits since
Maybe.
70 or 81.
Get your cowboy hat on, Juergens. Everybody looking fresh.
Jeffrey Thomas with the backwards sideways hat, looking good.
Yeah, man.
But I think
come out the same way.
I think the spread. I think the spread's probably going to be 2 scores in favor of Michigan. The only reason why I think that is because Michigan's undefeated. They're going to be a top 10 team.
Maybe
you had number 3, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 12, number 13 all lose yesterday. Michigan's going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
And so they are going to be probably a 2-score favorite, which is fine.
Ooh.
Zom's drinking the Kool-Aid now too.
Hey, I'll drink Kool-Aid with you. That's kind of what I'm drinking anyway.
And it's funny you say that, Zom, because a couple of people on the Twitterverse has also said the same thing, that Nebraska, there's no reason why they can't win out.
With the yardage, with the way Martinez has been able to throw and use his legs, the amount of rushing touchdowns he has and rushing yards, and the way we've been able to stop the run.
Yep.
That's a good recipe for a win.
It is.
Against better, the back half of our schedule, some of the better teams.
And let's talk about Iowa for a second. So Iowa,
they won 51 to whatever, 51-7.
But if you look at their field position, it's because of their defense. Their defense is getting them field position, getting them turnovers.
I think they had 5 or 6 turnovers.
And Maryland, 4 interceptions thrown by Tagovailoa. I mean, again, he was on a graphic that he's one of the best in the
we
big.
had one before the game.
And so is Peyton Thorne, and then, so it's just I don't think Maryland is that good. I don't think Iowa's good. They are not that good. I don't think they are a top 5 team.
They're going to be in the top 4.
And the only reason why they're not a top 5 team is because of the lack of offense. They have not had a tough schedule yet either. So, I do think their defense is good. There's no doubt their defense is good. It's going to continue to be good. So I see Iowa and Nebraska being a low-scoring game, unless our offense can do what we did yesterday, and our offensive line can do what they did yesterday against a team like a good defensive team like Iowa.
Well, and in a game like Iowa, end of the year.
Yes. Love it, Ryan.
I like Zom's comment too. The thing we're gonna have to be careful with in Iowa is they don't turn the ball over a lot. They don't get a lot of penalties. They're kind of a lot like Northwestern. They can run the ball pretty well. Hopefully, we can shut them down.
Yep.
We cannot turn the ball over in that game.
Yep.
If Martinez isn't throwing interceptions in that game, if we're not putting it on the turf, which we've been pretty good about.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, think about last year. That loss to Iowa, we lost by 6. We're in a drive to win the game, get a touchdown, win the game. We're inside the 20, I think it was just outside. One mistake on the offensive line. We didn't block. The one guy running towards Martinez, we didn't block. He went untouched. He hit Martinez, he fumbled the ball.
Yeah. And
people wanted to blame Martinez for that, but that's a game we should have won last year. In the last 3 years, 12 points between the last 3 years against Iowa. 6, 3, and 3. So Iowa's not destroying Nebraska in some of the worst years we've had as a program. They are still a good football team because they do play fundamentally sound. But if we play fundamentally sound like we did yesterday, on both sides of the ball, we will shut down their offense, and we have every opportunity to put ourselves in position to win that game.
Yeah. And
again, it could be a top 10 win. We'll see how they do against Penn State next weekend.
Nelson is playing lights out. We're just starting to love him.
So Ryan, you mentioned it feels good to be proud of the program again.
100%.
I've always been proud of the the players, even when they don't play well, you know that they're not doing things on purpose. But to see them come out and handle a Pat Fitzgerald team that nobody beats them like that, nobody rushes on them like that, nobody gets 620 some yards on that team.
Especially, after a couple of tough losses.
Yes.
We've stayed resilient. Guys haven't given up. Guys on that defense haven't given up, saying, hey, we're doing our job. You're not doing your job. They're saying, we're doing our job. What can we do to help you do your job?
Yep.
Things like that. So, do we need to get a sack? Do we need to get, a 3 and out? Give you guys better field position? How can we help? And it's just everybody on board now.
So Ross, not only did you put a little extra sugar in your Kool-Aid, but I think you put some whiskey or something in your Kool-Aid as well. So we run the table, we win the Big Ten, and first 3-loss team to make the playoff. Man, that'd be fantastic. I don't want to quite get there yet, but if we have 3 losses, I don't think we're getting the playoff.
Maybe,
no matter what.
Maybe if it was 8 or 12 teams.
Unless there's a lot of just pandemonium in college football throughout the next 6 weeks.
Which there kind of has been.
There has been.
He said. All those teams losing yesterday.
So I don't know. Again, can we win out? Absolutely. Will we? I hope so. I think if nothing else, I think we win 4 to 5 more games of our last 6.
We played like that last night. I mean, there's a lot of people I'm talking to, and they're like, why don't we play like this all the time? And I'm like, well, it also depends on your opponent.
It does. We did not play down to our opponent yesterday.
We felt that whole homecoming weekend and the crowd and
the thunderstruck in between third and fourth quarter.
Everybody just buying in and
I thought
saying, let's win this game and take it to the next game. Like, if we do that, then yeah, we have a pretty good chance to win a majority of these games.
I thought Garrett Nelson he looked like he was about in tears when they showed him on the sideline between the third and fourth quarter. He was holding his hands up, rocking out. He felt the emotion. I think everybody was so excited, so pumped on the sideline. We have not seen that. I do have, going in between third and fourth quarter, when they played jump around in Wisconsin, and Michigan was beating Wisconsin yesterday, they played jump around. The Michigan players were over by the student section jumping up and down, going like this.
That's funny.
I'm like, that's funny because they're just mocking the hell out of the students. And most of the students were jacked up. I'm like, you guys are getting your butts kicked.
Yeah.
And you're still happy. Good for you. But no, I think Michigan's going to be potentially a huge. Last night was a big turning point. Next weekend is going to be even a bigger turning point for this program and Scott Frost. I think we win outright. The spread's probably going to be 2 touchdowns, is my guess.
You think 2 touchdowns, though?
It could be 13 points, maybe 13 points, but
I'll say.
And I'm only saying that because they're going to be in the top 10 and we're 3-3, and they're undefeated. That's the only reason. Otherwise, if you're watching the film, and right now, if you're watching film, then you would probably maybe have a 3 to 6 points.
I'd say that's probably 9.5 to 10.5.
Okay, we'll see what happens. All right, let's get back to the question earlier that was asked about Yant. We did talk about him a little bit already, how excited we were to get him in the game. Let's talk about our running backs in general. So, last couple weeks, we've had Ramir Johnson kind of the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
We've seen Sevion Morrison in the game running hard. Ramir Johnson not only is a fast guy, but he runs hard. His first couple years in Nebraska, I thought that he was
4.5
is
what it opened at.
Wow, okay, so I'm a little surprised by that.
I told you
I like it
that
though.
much. I told you it wouldn't be that much.
I like it. I think Johnson runs through guys. He's not just running into them. He is initiating contact. He is trying to bowl over these guys when there's not a lane. He's trying to get those extra yards. That's what I love about Ramir. I see a lot of that in Sevion Morrison as well. He's not afraid to hit guys. He's not afraid to run them over. Yant, obviously not afraid to run them over. But we talked about it with Carricker. Is it Ramir or Ramir? Well, I think at that point it was Morrison. But is Ramir 1 and Yant 2?
It actually was probably Irvin at that time.
Could have been. But is it one? Is that our 1 and 2? Is Yant a number 2 guy? Yant and Ramir. Thunder Lightning. I love it. That very well could be it. I mean,
actually pretty well stated.
I
thought it would be Step that way, but it really hasn't been.
The nice thing about Step is he's a sophomore.
Yeah.
He's still got a couple years. They said that what they're seeing in practice, what they're seeing on the field as well, is just that improvement, the consistency. They're not seeing that from Step, and that's fine. Step's going to get his chances.
He will. And he was hurt in the spring, so he didn't get as many reps earlier.
But I think I would be happy if Ramir and Yant are 1 and 2. I'd be happy.
Yeah.
again, we talked about having that one guy that you can rely on. If we have two guys that we can rely on, I think one of them, Ramir's going to get more reps, and he should. And it very well could be a three-man system where Ramir and Morrison are our two top running backs as far as the high yardage. Yant's generally not going to run 64 yards.
No.
Against really any defense. We opened some big holes, he hit the holes, and so did other running backs.
You know, he might need a bigger body type guy like him against Michigan.
Yep.
Running the ball.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting with the game plan because it always seems like they change it up a little bit from what you'd think or what
from
they
week
did
to
the
week
before. Been pretty consistent with Ramir these last few games.
Yep.
Sliding Yant in is definitely a wrinkle that maybe we can have turn into another wrinkle for next week. So.
Yep. And it was either Ryan or Ross that mentioned that, you know, yesterday was one of the first games where we're watching the game where we're like, I didn't see that play coming. Like, we were not predictable on offense. A lot of times you see that predictability coming. You know, it's 3rd and 4, Martinez is going to run it. But guess what? Is he? I don't know. Yesterday you didn't know because we had guys.
Yeah.
We had receivers running the ball. We had running backs. Yeah. So it was a
very throwing the ball or whatever it was.
Unpredictable offense yesterday, which probably threw Northwestern off too. They're probably like, we hadn't seen this on film. Like, what the hell is that play?
It's been consistently a Martinez keeper.
Yes.
And
Kyle Yant is a Big Ten running back, 100%. He's like a Ron Dane bulldozer.
He's a big dude.
Who else was a bulldozer that we used to have on our team?
Gosh, there's been a couple.
We've had Corey Ross.
Amani Cross. Who I would
Corey
think
Ross, Amani Cross.
Yeah.
Yant's going to help us down by the goal line. Absolutely. I think that short yardage, even though we did see Sevion take it in short yardage. We've seen Ramir take it in short yardage too. I mean,
he did too.
Those guys are running hard. I mean, they're pushing. And I think they have really strong legs to help them get to that next level. Best game that you've seen the program play under Frost. Again, Ryan, I think it's not just because of not because of the score or the fact that we beat Northwestern. It was the way we won the game.
Yeah. We
won it by helping ourselves instead of beating ourselves.
Exactly.
Finally, we did not beat ourselves in that game. Let's see.
And we just never we never really let our foot off the gas. I mean, we got up and we just kept going.
Nope.
I know maybe their game plan a little bit was, well, their defense has been so good. We don't want. We'll kick off to start the game instead of taking the ball.
Yep.
And get that crowd into it. And instead, we throw a 70-yard pass and get the crowd in it. It was great.
Yeah, I think. A couple comments here about Yant, just about the running backs. I mean, you think about Ozigbo too. Like, the bigger backs in the Big Ten generally work out a lot. I mean, you have guys that can run through a solid defense, which is what you're going to get out of the Big Ten is a solid defense.
Yeah.
And we have that now. And again, even Ramir Johnson and Morrison, those guys, and Urban, I think he's going to get there once he's back from injury. Guys that can run over the defense. And Stepp is there too. Stepp is a guy, he's a bigger guy, he's a strong back, he can run through. So, Nick Zom's going to faint if we get a Yant in at fullback and Ramir at running back. Man, I would love that power. Please give me a power eye.
Well,
this year,
please,
just once.
Even if it's a two-back, I mean, I'd like to see it as an I-back. That'd be awesome.
Maybe
but two-back, but lead block kind of a situation, or triple option out of it or something.
Or like an offset, yeah.
That'd be
offset
sweet.
eye. Zom, another way I would put it is my pants might get a little tighter. As I saw someone say last night when we started running the option again. It's just a thing of beauty. I mean, that game last night was it was a thing of beauty.
It was.
I was so happy.
It was fun.
Couldn't go to bed. I was so excited.
And not saying that these games where we've been close haven't been fun. They've been kind of stressful, and then we lose, and it's almost worse than getting blown out, like we've said before. But it's actually just fun to watch a game.
It was fun.
Like it used to be.
Yeah, Ryan, we mentioned a little bit earlier, too, that we had no penalties in the first half. I mean, we played mistake-free football. That's going to help you win games. Our special teams, we didn't have to use them, so we didn't have to worry about
Oliver Martin fair caught every ball, no problems.
And so some people didn't like that because we did fair catch it a couple times inside the 15. Once at the 6 and one maybe at the 15 or around it.
I didn't so much mind that. There was one time that he fair caught and he had some daylight or he had some space in front of him, but with the mistakes we've been making, keep it simple.
That's when you cut it
That
to 6.
is what I was saying to people all week. We just keep it simple.
Yep.
Just don't even try to return a kickoff. Don't try to return any punts. Just fair catch them all.
And when he caught that ball at the 6, yes, he had room to run. But I was watching very closely. I replayed and I said he had nobody blocking for him.
Yeah.
There was 3 defenders coming down on him, and maybe 1 guy blocking. He was not going to get far. So I understand the fair catch now. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you just let it go? Well, again, I mean, maybe it ends up at the 1. Maybe it goes out of the end zone.
Right.
But I would rather have a fair catch than potentially, try to return it, get a fumble, or try to return it, get no yards. It's really not going to be a whole lot of difference in field position to me.
And especially how we're moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really need a spark at a punt return.
We
Just
didn't
take it. We're moving the ball anyway.
We didn't need punts. We didn't need field goals. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, maybe that's Scott found a formula for winning games. Don't use your special teams.
Don't punt and don't kick field goals."
We didn't need them. So
and
why?
So we punted and then it went 84 yards.
Oh my God! That punt, I was out of my seat, freaking out. Like I've never flipped out probably that much on a special teams play in my entire life. Even when Pierce Snell was returning kicks, like that was just. Not only was it exciting to see it happen for Nebraska, but it was exciting to see Prystrup. I can't remember how you say his name. William. His name is William. It was exciting to see him. He ran down the field, and he was super excited.
Well, and the coaches have been saying
he had the 7-yard punt last week.
Right. Somebody texted me and they go, "Was that the same guy that had 7-yard punt?" And I said, "Yes, it was."
He's averaging 45 yards his last 2 punts. That's pretty good.
So no, just the coaches and Frost have been saying these guys boom the ball in practice, and we just need to translate it to the game. And
man, he boomed that ball.
Did.
He boomed it.
Maybe it was the team was clicking on all cylinders, and there was just a little bit less stress on him, and he just said, "I'm going to send it."
Well, and he had hang time too. It's not like it was a line drive because that return guy not only moved out of the way fairly quick, but our defenders were down there really fast.
I mean,
too,
when he kicked it, that crowd just erupted.
Oh yeah, they just booted it. Another thing I liked seeing yesterday, and they mentioned it, I think maybe in the broadcast, maybe post game, but after Yant, I think it was maybe after a 64-yard run or one of his good runs, maybe a 12-yard run. He's coming off the field, and Marquis Stepp is the first guy there to greet him on the field.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see some of that continuity on offense after last night, and I think maybe this week leading up to it, the last couple weeks, you're starting to see, we talked about that leadership on the defense, and what we need to see on offense is somebody step up and get that offense to come together as a single unit like the defense has.
Right, not like that guy's taking my snap.
Yeah, who's going to be that leader? I think Stepp is a good leader. I think he is a great guy. Everything I've heard about him coming from USC is really good. And you saw it on the field yesterday. And I think we're starting to see more and more of that the last couple weeks on offense is we are starting to find some of that leadership from somebody other than Martinez in that huddle.
Yeah.
Could it be Juergens? Could it be Toure? It could be Omar Manning who doesn't play every snap. Somebody, they're clicking. And they're finding a way to come together and say, this is not about me, it's about us. What do we got to do to win the game?
Yeah, and maybe it's some of those offensive linemen taking responsibility for not playing as well and just saying, we're going to work harder to be better, and guys are buying in, and they start looking better, and it's just getting the flow going a lot better between everybody.
Well, even as they talked to the offensive linemen in the week leading up to the game, they said, Frost has been honest. He has been more involved with the offensive line. Again, we've given Greg Austin a hard time, and I don't regret that at all. I think Scott Frost getting more involved in the offensive line and saying, you are making these changes, or else, could have happened, I don't know, but you are making these changes because we got to see improvement. We got, was it Newly, the German?
That's the guy.
Yeah,
left guard.
He got
his first
start.
start.
He was playing. We made 2 critical changes on the left side of our line, and that was the difference in the game.
Potentially the biggest change, moving Corcoran to right tackle, because that has been, that has been probably the worst position. And
is that Piper over there?
No, it's Benard that's been struggling. Yeah. 54.
He's still got a lot of improvements to make.
He's got improvements to make, but that movement, making that switch, I think that was probably the biggest, and just getting a big body Teddy in there, and a guy with something to prove. he said guys have gotten opportunities, and not trying to hate on them, but they haven't made the best of them. So somebody else is getting an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So
and it's hard because I think Ben Hart, again, he's a guy that has so much upside to him.
Right.
Whether he's just a little bit slower off the ball or maybe just footwork, it could be a little bit of everything. But again, you're talking about development, which is why we've hammered Greg Austin, is that development side of the ball on the offensive line. And we saw first guys make their first start yesterday that played great throughout the entire game. That's the development that we should be seeing. So again, we can harp on Greg Austin still, and up to this point, but if that's him developing those guys again, so we're seeing it. So those other guys that maybe are making some of those mistakes, what is that really telling us? I don't know. Maybe that's just a mental thing.
Well, and even Yant getting in the game really he probably played in the Fordham game a little bit, but getting a real first taste of Big Ten football, and he made the best of it and put himself in a position that he earned himself some playing time down the stretch here.
Anybody who wants to say that the walk-on program is dead or the walk-on program does nothing for Nebraska or anybody in the country, look at who's playing on our team and look how many walk-ons we've had play, not only this year but the last couple of years, that are now successful, maybe have scholarships, have earned a black shirt. We have a ton of walk-ons playing for this team that are successful.
Right, and it's, you can get all the scholarship offers in the world, but if you want to play for a particular team, and maybe you're not getting scholarship offers and you just want to walk on to Nebraska because that looks like looks like a cool place, or whatever. It works. It does.
Yeah, Ross made a couple comments here. So Toure is always open. Toure, he runs really good routes. Again, he did it at Montana. So he's no slouch. He knows what he's doing out there. He's very good at read. Again, he made the adjustment on that very first play of the game. That wasn't a great throw. It was a deep throw, but it wasn't on target.
It
was 70 yards. So it was still, or 50 in the air, whatever.
Whatever.
Still a heck of a long throw, and he made the adjustment to the ball, and that's what he provides on this team, is that be able to make the adjustment on the route in the air to make that catch. So yes, he is open a lot. We're able to hit him a lot. Levi Falk, yeah. Levi Falk, man, we talked about him last week or a couple weeks ago. Like, people on Twitter, like, why is Levi on the field? This and that. Like, they apparently don't want me to play.
Yeah, they don't want me to be good at
I want him out there. Levi Falk is a stud.
Whoever can block, make plays.
He's got good hands
and catch the ball.
Levi's got good hands.
Yards after catch.
Wyatt Lever has good hands. I think Levi had a catch yesterday too. Our receivers have good hands.
Guys that can block, catch the ball, and make good decisions. Whether it's get out of bounds,
and apparently
yards after catch, or even just go run your route past the first down marker and catch it and get a first down.
And apparently you're running the ball now as a receiver.
Sure,
so
that's cool.
Throw it in there.
Sure.
Oh man, guys, this has been fun.
Yeah,
next week, 4.5 point favorite is Michigan next week.
See where that ends up at.
See how it goes the rest of the week. I don't see it getting probably more than 6 if it started at 4.5.
I'm very excited about this game.
Very excited, and I think everyone should be. I think let's get out there, let's get this dub, get a top 10 win, get her done.
Be a ranked team for sure.
Yeah, be a three-loss ranked team. So.
All right.
Again, I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We are Two Average Guys. Thanks for joining in, guys. Thanks for all the questions, all the comments. We enjoyed it, had fun, and listen to a little more Thunderstruck. Go.